And not only does Charlie engage and entertain students throughout the parish, he helps make serious topics like hurricanes not so big and not so scary. The campaign and Charlie's presence has grown with each passing year in multiple ways. And that message clearly seems to be getting through. And it may even be reaching older ears as well. Charlie and the program have even received critical acclaim from a notable hurricane organization.
I'm so proud of the Charlie program and the work that the EOC has done, bringing that from literally nothing to a great program that allows us to go in and teach the youth early on about emergency preparedness. Based on where we live, there's emergencies. We've seen that over the past few years, and I think it's really important that we teach the children at a young age on how to be prepared for that and teaching them resiliency.
Making all of our residents more ready for emergencies is the end goal. Sermon believes that this educational campaign is making a difference one student and one family at a time. It's quite an accomplishment for this furry frontman.
To the St. Charles Parish Council meeting on Monday, July 27th, 2026 at 6 p.m. in the council chambers in the parish courthouse. Please silence all electronic devices and remove all hats. This meeting is called to order with a prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance from Pastor Charles Johnson Sr. with the Mount Zion Community Church in Boutique.
Let us pray. Father God, we give thanks to you once again for another opportunity. Just to call upon your holy and righteous name, Lord, as we invite you into this meeting, Lord. We pray that only that you come in today, but you take over, that you give leadership, guidance, and directions today, Father God. And we just thank you once for those that have been elected and those that have been called and chosen, Lord, to take care of the business of the church. We pray right now that everything will be done, Lord, according to your will and according to your way. Continue to bless them each and every day of their lives, Lord, is our prayer. For in your name we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor Johnson. Approval of minutes. Regular meeting, July 13th. A motion and a second are needed to approve the minutes from the regular meeting of July 13th, 2026. We have a motion by Mr. Fisher and a second by Ms. Skiba. Please cast your votes. And that passes unanimously. Special business, proclamations, canvass returns, etc. 2026-0215, in memoriam, Kirk Andre Freelou. And Mr. Jewell?
Thank you, Chairman. Parish of St. Charles in memoriam. Whereas on May 16th, 2026, Almighty God in his infinite wisdom saw fit to call from amongst us one of his most worthy servants, Kirk Andre Freelou. And whereas Kirk was born to the parents of the late Andrea Freelou and Reverend Dr. Gary Bolden Sr., and was a resident of St. Charles Parish. He was a proud father of 2 daughters, Paris and Paige Freelou, and 1 son, the late Brian Jones. And whereas Kirk was a dedicated employee at Zachary for more than 20 years and continued his career with St. Charles Parish, in March of 2018 as a laborer in public works. He was promoted to pump mechanic helper in June of 2020 and transitioned to a pump operator helper in September of 2020. Kirk was also a dedicated St. Charles Parish employee for 8 years. And whereas Kirk was a soft-spoken and kind-hearted, never hastening to lend a helping hand to anyone in need, his gentle spirit was infectious to those around him, and he had a deep passion for motorcycles and vehicles of all kind, and you could always find him working on something. One of his favorite pastimes was spending time at the racetrack, enjoying the thrill of a good race. And whereas on behalf of the citizens of St. Charles Parish, the Parish Council, and the Parish President, we proudly, posthumously honor Kirk Freelou for his exceptional service to our parish and his legacy of love and loyalty. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we, the members of the St. Charles Parish Council and the Parish President, duly assembled on this 27th day of July 2026, do hereby express our sincere sympathy to the family of Kirk Andre Freelou, September 17th, 1971 to May 16th, 2026. Be it further resolved that a page of the official minute book of the St. Charles Parish Council meeting be set aside for the record of this memoriam, and when this meeting is adjourned, it shall be done in memory of Kirk Andre Freelou. May he rest in peace. Here to receive this, we have Mr. Aaron Freelou. Okay, we'll make sure they get that.
She goes by that. You need to say that. Thank you, Mr. Jewell. Next, 2026-0227, Proclamation, National Heat Stroke Awareness Month. Very appropriate. Ms. DeBrouillet?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Proclamation. National Heat Stroke Awareness Month serves as a critical reminder to educate ourselves about the dangers of extreme heat exposure. This condition can escalate quickly, leading to severe death complications, and whereas recognizing the signs of heat stroke, implementing preventive measures in vehicles, and staying safe during extreme heat events are essential steps in creating a safer environment for everyone, and whereas heat stroke awareness becomes crucial, particularly regarding the safety of children and pets in vehicles. Vehicles can heat up very quickly, with temperatures rising 20 degrees in as little as 10 minutes, creating a deadly situation for anyone locked inside. And whereas by locking the vehicle door when it is not in use can prevent children from gaining access to the vehicle and minimize the risk of them getting trapped. Never leaving a child alone in a vehicle, even rolling down a window, does little to keep a vehicle cool. Some newer vehicles come with a back seat reminder that will allow parents to check their vehicle before they leave. And if you see a child in distress in a vehicle, call 911 immediately and get help. And whereas St. Charles Parish encourages all parents, family members, and caregivers caregivers to implement strategies and stay informed during the hot summer months. And whereas National Heat Stroke Awareness Month reinforces the importance of good safety practices, ensuring public safety during Heat Awareness Month. Now therefore be it resolved, we the members of the St. Charles Parish Council and the Parish President do hereby proclaim August 2026 as National Heat Stroke Awareness Month in St. Charles Parish and urge all citizens to help prevent the tragic loss of life by taking precautions by minimizing the risk associated with the extreme heat. And Terrell Cornwell is here to accept.
Hello, everyone. As we know, it is hot, but then again, really hot. And I just spoke with about 50 somewhat kids at Grand Ridge. They were the littlest of audience that I've ever had. But as I spoke to them, I also spoke to them about hide and seek, finding some of the best hidden spots. But also we brought out about swimming. I had a lot of pool, a lot of waters around here, and those little people, that's another thing about don't leave me behind. So when we say don't leave me behind, we're talking little people, the animals, the needy, and the elderly. Because just recently a friend of mine told me how he left his mother in the car to go get something, but he left it on and blah, blah, blah. But somebody got in the back of the car thinking it was theirs and realized that it wasn't, their vehicle. That was a good thing. It scared him, and he remembered what I told him. Now he really is going to follow because it turned out to be okay. So what I'm saying to everyone, when I say don't leave me behind, there's a lot of people that we do leave behind we don't think about. So just think about on all spectrums of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cornwell. Reports, finance and administrative activities. 2026-0232, the Port of South Louisiana, and we have Miss Julia Fisher Cormier returning home to present this.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good evening, council members and parish president. Thanks for having me tonight to give you all an update. And I've got to say, I don't know that I've ever been on this side of the dais. So out of precaution, since it's my first time here in this role, I would respectfully, on the front end, ask for additional time because I'm well aware of the 7 or 8 minute limit, I believe. So I'll pause here for a motion to extend my time on the front end, Mr. Chair. No? Okay. You'll let me go.
Go for it.
All right. Sounds good. So Port of South Louisiana, as you see on the screen there, is water, air, road, and rail, the 54 miles of the Mississippi River, but truly a multimodal port and the only port in the state that is multimodal with all 4 modes of transportation. So first off, I want to talk about who we are, not what we are. I'll remind you that, again, that 54-mile stretch encompasses 3 parishes, St. John, St. Charles, and St. James. Each parish is represented by 3 individuals, 3 port commissioners, and so you all are represented by Joey Murray. He's actually our chairman and appointed by the governor as chairman, as well as Miss Julie Aber, who is here with us tonight, if you want to give us a wave. She is also gubernatorial appointment, and then additionally Ryan Burks, who is a parish president appointment. So those 3 out of the 9 represent St. Charles Parish, and I have to say that these 9 individuals could not be more professional. We have a port commission that I would say is unmatched to any in the state, any in the country. They truly bring a level of expertise to our board that is necessary. And these 9 individuals hired me in January, but I will say that it is a very much team effort. And I'm just grateful to be home. So glad to talk to you guys tonight about what we're doing. Just this is an advanced look at who we are outside of our Port Commission. This is our industrial partners map. I think a lot of these names look familiar to many of you up here. I'm talking to you, Bob. So a lot of these are why we are such a powerhouse at the Port of South Louisiana. St. Charles Parish in particular, out of this map, is home to Shell, Valero, ADM, Bunge, and Dow, to name a few. Our port is home to 7 of the 9 out of Louisiana's grain terminals. So the entire state has 9 grain terminals. We have 7 of them. 3 of them are in St. Charles Parish, and we'll get to some statistics in a bit. 4 refineries, 8 petrochem facilities, 10 energy transfer facilities. There really is no question why Port of South Louisiana is special when you look at this map, and why we're at the top of so many lists. So in addition to our stakeholders that make us so strong, our connectivity is also what makes us a powerhouse. We know how strong our deep water access is, but this snapshot really shows why we outrank others. The Port of South Louisiana and the 5 lower Mississippi River ports are connected to 31 United States. 2 Canadian provinces, that makes up 138 congressional districts, which is 62 senators and 33% of Congress. To show our connectivity that is unmatched is very clear by this map, but also shows our strength and our impact to the rest of the country. So what do? Although we are in full collaboration mode with our 5 lower Mississippi River sister ports, we've got to brag a bit, right? We're the largest port in Louisiana and the 2nd largest in the country, and here's why. We're number 1 in grain exports. 46 million short tons of grain come through the Port of South Louisiana. 60% of the United States grain is exported through the Port of South Louisiana. Now keep in mind, Louisiana as a whole represents 1.4% of the United States population, but we transport 60% of the entire nation's grain. That is a strong statistic and is something to be proud of for sure. Number 2, energy transfer in the state. 3 refineries, 100 million in short tons in that box there. And number 1 in U.S. foreign trade zone with $65 billion in merchandise received. And we're number 1 in domestic trade. So how do you rank specifically out of all of those large statistics? St. Charles Parish definitely plays a huge part in our impact. 46 million of those grain short tons come out. 18 million of that 46 million comes through St. Charles Parish. So I think you guys, by looking at this, you definitely pull your weight when it comes to the tri-parish jurisdiction of the Port of South Louisiana. And so how does that stock up into commodities? So 30% of our tonnage is grain. Petrochem is clearly a very large portion of what we do. These 2 things continue to be the heart of what the Port of South Louisiana does, and really the heart of what St. Charles Parish contributes to our port jurisdiction. We truly know what we do best, and that brings us to this slide, our priorities. We fine-tuned the priorities at the port over the last 6 months. We foster growth, but we want to foster growth that speaks to the market. It speaks to the strengths that we have at the port. So our 3 pillars are the following. Fueling our economy, which is literal and figuratively fueling. We want to fuel jobs, we want to fuel revenue, but we also know that we fit into the petrochem category. So this is one of our pillars, one of our priorities, one of our focuses. We feed the world, which 60% of the nation's grain export speaks to that directly. And we want to fortify infrastructure. We want to build docks, roads, bridges, utilities, anything that development needs for basic structure, basic expansion, anything new, anything that needs to grow needs these things. And we want to continue to foster that growth by fortifying the infrastructure, which we continue to do. So this is going to really keep us focused on what we do best, keeping us in our lane. But speaking of infrastructure, I wanted to mention a couple of projects that would be important to you guys. We have picked 3 projects that are road projects, specific, one to each parish. And the goal behind these are, they may not be our project. We may not be financially involved. We may not be directly involved in the support. But these are things that we feel are a positive impact that would help the port and would also help our communities around. Specifically, yours is first on the list. We know that the I-310 US 90 interchange has been an ever-evolving project. We know that there's probably a new take on what that project's going to look like, but we feel strongly that that's something we would stand behind and whatever the parish feels it needs to be, because we do have a lot of truck traffic. Cargo usually touches more than one form of transportation. It's going to touch a barge and a truck or vice versa. So we want to make sure that our truck traffic that comes through St. Charles Parish has a safe place to get out of the way, doesn't cause traffic for any schools, any residents. We want to make sure that that safety is in place. And so the other 2 projects, one in each parish, are very similar in what they do. There is actually a planned I-10 exit into Reserve that would help get truck traffic out of LaPlace. So that one's been around for 30 or so years as well, but we see that maybe there's some light of day coming to that project. So anything we can do, whether it be a letter of support, maybe it's a small match in finances somehow, if there's anything the port can do to support these transportation projects, we want to stand behind them. So one important project, because as you know, the Port of South Louisiana is an economic development organization. One important project is the Hyundai Steel project. Now, I know this has been probably a curious project to all of you because as you see in the first bullet, it's located in Ascension Parish. I didn't name that parish when I talked about our jurisdiction. I won't go into too much detail about the project, but in a nutshell, the Port of South Louisiana is building the Hyundai Steel dock in Ascension Parish. The Port of Greater Baton Rouge is handling the landside development of the Hyundai plant. The state realized pretty quickly that the Port of Greater Baton Rouge couldn't handle it, so they called in the big dogs, if you will. And we're going to handle the marine side and are continuing to handle the marine side. And although it's not in our jurisdiction, from an economic development standpoint, these tri-parishes will benefit from this project when it comes to jobs and when it comes to the revenue that the port will recognize and is able to reinvest in the tri-parishes. We're fully self-generated revenue operational, so we've got to generate every dollar that we have to develop in economic development. So this is something that, although not directly here, I think this will be a long-term benefit for everyone here. But this is an example of what type of project the Port of South Louisiana can and should be doing. So our port partners, I've mentioned a lot of folks throughout the presentation here. I mentioned the parishes, I mentioned DOTD. I just want to make it clear that the Port of South Louisiana will continue collaboration, continuing alignment with our port partners that you see here, whether it be a state agency, whether it be a regulatory agency, or whether it be you all. The parish president and his team really have engaged a lot lately, probably far more than I think the port and St. Charles Parish have had engagement over the past 10 years. So it's been really good. We've had a lot of good, thoughtful discussion. And I think it's notable to say that at this moment, the Port of South Louisiana has $10 billion in private investment in the Port of South Louisiana's jurisdiction over the last 2 years. It's a very large number. It's a very small portion of the state's almost 208 billion in capital investment, but it's important. But it's also important to say that none of it is in St. Charles Parish. Not $1 of that $10 billion investment is in St. Charles Parish. So we think it's time that we collaborate more. The parish president has made it very clear that we want smart growth, we want thoughtful growth, and if we're going to grow jobs and grow revenue, we're going to do it together. So I look forward to continuing to work with his team and you all as we move forward with the 3 priorities that the Port of South Louisiana has. Our commissioners have made it very clear to us collaboration is the only way, alignment is the only way, and I just feel very thankful to be back at home. So I just want to thank you again. I know personally how hard all of you work. I think every gray hair on my head was acquired when I was behind that dais for 11 years. So again, I thank you for what you do. Being a resident of St. Charles Parish, I'm proud to be part of the Port of South Louisiana, which is home to 3 very, very special parishes. And thank you to my councilman, in particular, Michelle DeBrouillet. You do a great job of representing District 7. So I just want to say thank you and open to any questions or comments and looking forward to continuing to work with the parish. Thank you. I yield, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Ms. Cormier. It's nice to see you here again.
Good to see y'all as well.
Okay. Next, 2026-0233, Housing Authority. Mr. Jedediah, and I'm probably messing that up, Jackson.
That was perfect. Thank you so much. And good evening, members of the St. Charles Parish Council, Parish President Jewell, parish officials, and residents of this parish. My name is Jedediah Jackson, and I serve as the Executive Director of the St. Charles Parish Housing Authority. Before we dive into the annual report, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge our dedicated Board of Commissioners who guide us and support our work. Our Chair, Webb J. IV, Vice Chair, Delirio Bailey, Commissioners LaRon Bird, Marilyn Diggs, and Gilbert Joseph, our resident commissioner. I also want to thank Councilperson Michelle DeBrouillet for her continued service as our ex officio member. And we're here tonight to share our progress, our challenges, and our vision for the future. Everything we do at the authority is driven by our core mission to provide decent, safe, sanitary, and drug-free housing for low to moderate income families throughout St. Charles Parish. Currently, we are directly serving 53 families at our boutique property, and we support another 241 families residing throughout the parish through our Housing Choice Voucher Program, and that represents nearly 300 households counting on us to help provide a foundation of stability. To give you an idea of the fiscal scope of our operation for fiscal year, let me go back. To give you an idea of the fiscal scope of our operations for fiscal year 2025, our public housing operating budget is over $700,000, which is comprised of HUD subsidies and rent collection. We also received just over $360,000 in capital project funding from our annual HUD capital projects grant. Our Housing Choice Voucher side, we operate with an administrative budget of roughly $265,000 to manage a robust $3 million in direct subsidy funding that goes right back into our local housing market to support affordable housing around the parish. And I'm exceptionally proud to share some of our recent operational accomplishments. In our public housing sector, we saw a massive leap in our HUD assessment score. Our FOS score jumped from 24 in 2023 to 65 in 2024. And for those familiar with the metrics, you know that an increase of this magnitude over a single year is rare and a commendable feat that we can attribute to the staff at our housing authority, our board of commissioners, and you, our parish council. This was achieved by implementing proactive quarterly maintenance inspections and planning housekeeping seminars to ensure both the agency and our residents clearly understand our shared responsibilities, and also working to improve on our fiscal accountability. And perhaps the most important bullet on this slide, HUD has officially informed us that the St. Charles Parish Housing Authority is no longer in troubled status. We've also tightened up our administrative processes, ensuring all financial data and multi-year plans are submitted to HUD on time, and we've greatly improved our vouchering process to consistently draw down available HUD funding. Our Housing Choice Voucher Program has seen equally impressive strides. Through intentional monthly onboarding of new voucher recipients paired with strict fiscal oversight, we've successfully prevented shortfall from recurring. Recognizing this, HUD has increased our allocated funding and also increased our funding based on additional vouchers that we've leased up. We've also expanded our community partnerships, adding an average of 3 new landlords to the program every month. And thanks to these programmatic improvements, our CMAP status, which is almost like the FOS status for the public housing side, has elevated from a standard performer to a high performer, we were at, I believe, 75% or 80% CMAP success. Now we're at 100%. An amazing achievement for our team. And additionally, our PIC score, which tracks our data reporting accuracy in terms of recertifications and voucher lease-ups, has increased to 99.8%. These accomplishments don't happen by accident. They're the result of strategic capacity building across the agency. First, we are strengthening and continue to strengthen our financial oversight by utilizing 76 Strategies, which is our fee accountant, to improve our budgeting, reporting, and fiscal accountability. And internally, we have hired a finance director to revise and strengthen our internal controls. Operationally, this past November, we did transition to PHA Web, which is a modernized property management system with an integrated financial module. And we're actively training our staff on this technology, and our board members are engaging in ongoing governance training that's becoming available to them. Looking forward, our 5-year strategic goals are centered on empowering our residents. We're pushing forward. Now that we are out of troubled status, we do actually have the ability to apply for additional funding opportunities through HUD. And so we're pushing forward with our family self-sufficiency and resident opportunity for self-sufficiency programs, which is designed to connect families with financial incentives and community resources to improve their outcomes in terms of self-sufficiency. And ultimately, our goal is to transition families that are our current voucher holders through a home ownership program, which would be designed and funded by converting rental subsidies or voucher subsidies into mortgage assistance payments. And while we celebrate our wins, we know that there's always room to grow. Our primary goal right now is improving communication and community engagement at every level. And to achieve this, we're working to launch webinars for our tenants and landlords. I'm also proud to announce that we've developed our first actionable emergency preparedness plan in direct partnership with the St. Charles Parish EOC. Furthermore, we are upgrading our website and tapping into the parish's mass text system to ensure that we can reach our residents quickly and reliably, not only in issues of emergency, but also just in terms of being able to remain in communication with them. And as always, I want to extend a public invitation. Our Board of Commissioners meetings are open to the public on the fourth Tuesday of every month at 6 p.m. right here in the council chambers. And we welcome your voices and perspectives as we work to transition our agency from strictly low rent property management and rental assistance to our long-term goal of being a local real estate housing and development entity to increase our affordable housing stock across St. Charles Parish. And just to talk a little bit about our current redevelopment efforts in terms of our conversion. As many of you know, our initial redevelopment plans faced a major setback when the federal streamlined voluntary conversion program was halted nationwide. And this was a blow to our agency, to our residents, and our stakeholders, as it was the linchpin of our strategy to redevelop our shuttered properties at Des Allemands and Hahnville. However, we did not stop working, and the authority pivoted, and with your support and the support of our board, we're now undertaking a RAD Section 18 blend conversion program, and that outcome will ultimately achieve the same results that we initially were looking forward to. This pathway allows us to reposition and renovate our properties in Boutte and Hahnville, and to demolish and completely rebuild the Des Allemands property to bring it back online. Functionally, this process converts 90% of our units to project-based rental assistance vouchers and 10% to tax credit and HUB subsidy-based units. And to make this conversion possible, collaboration has been key. And we've been working closely with our local HUD field office and a specialized HUD consultant since the beginning of last year. And I'm pleased to report that following our recent plan approval, we received our CHAP, which is our Commitment for Housing Assistance Participation. Our next step is working alongside our developer partner Standard Enterprises to submit our comprehensive financing plan to the RAD Resource Desk, which should happen later this year. And our goal remains unchanged to accomplish our redevelopment and provide decent, safe, and quality affordable housing in this parish. To fund this process, we are currently utilizing our current capital funds and reserves, but we will ultimately absolutely be reaching out to our local, state, and federal partners for any additional resources or support needed to ensure that this project crosses the finish line. And in conclusion, despite the historical setbacks and challenges of federal policy shifts, the St. Charles Parish Housing Authority is in a remarkably strong position for the future. We have improved in almost every single metric where improvement was mandated, and most importantly, we're moving forward with the redevelopment of our housing stock to ensure safe, decent, and affordable housing remains available for the families of St. Charles Parish. And again, thank you to the council and to the administration for your time, your feedback, and your continued awareness of the vital work that we do. Thank you for your time this evening, and I do look forward to any questions if you have any.
Ms. Wilson?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I have one question in reference to the conversion update. For number 5, you have convert 90% of units to project-based vouchers and 10% to tax. So HUD is not going to fund 100% of the project?
So HUD will subsidize 100% of the project, but the actual financing plan, once the project is complete, is going to be based on 10% tax credits and 90% HUD funding.
Okay, and then who's going to be managing the renovated units?
It will be standard, the developer partners that we currently have right now, but we will still maintain contract oversight over them as the property managers.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Wilson. Mr. Brouillet?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just want to again thank you for your hard work and dedication. Without a leader like you in this department, we would not have achieved all that we have, and we're moving in the right direction. Thank you again.
Thank you for your support and all of your support. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for your great report, Mr. Jackson.
Thank you all. Have a great day.
Next, 2026-0234, Parish President Remarks. Mr. Jew.
Thank you, Chairman. Okay, since our last council meeting, we had another tropical storm albeit this one was a lot less impactful on the parish. So on Sunday, July 19th, National Weather Service reported an advisory for the Northern Gulf, advising us that Tropical Depression 2 could impact our area later that week. Our EOC began talking with the National Weather Service and Ghost Health about potential impacts, and then we held our first meeting with staff officers Monday afternoon. Monday morning, our Department of Public Works crews began their normal pre-storm protocols, checking watersheds, verifying levels at pump stations, fueling generators and equipment, and opening sandbag locations at both Bridge Parks and Battle Lane in Des Allemands. We also dispatched a crews to cut and blow out critical ditches to help us with potentially high rainfall. With the expected tidal impacts from the storm coming from the east, Lake Maurepas and Lake Pontchartrain crews also started sandbagging operations on Monday in critical areas like up the Bayou Road in Des Allemands, and prepared to close our flood control structures like the Sellers Canal Gate and the Des Allemands boat launch. The boat launch closed at noon on Tuesday, and the sector gate closed on Tuesday afternoon. Thankfully, the majority of the rain stayed off the coast, and we saw only minimal showers and wind. On Tuesday, July 21st, we had about an inch and a half of rain, and on Wednesday, not even a half an inch. We did have a few power outages in the parish, but Entergy resolved them rather quickly. And then going on to the next slide here, we want to talk about an ongoing project, which is the Muntz number 1 and number 2 pump station project. Starting this morning, CC Road is closed to all traffic until August 11th for sea level to pull up the road and lay discharge pipes from Muntz number 1 to the spillway. We also had to close the road at Muntz number 2 this week for work there as well. The project management team was able to coordinate the 2 closures to help us minimize the disruptions for the residents in Muntz and other folks in the area like in Norco. Okay, crews at the West Bank water treatment plant are changing out filter media in the C plant. This filtering agent is a sand that sinks and traps particles over time, and it wears down. As it wears down over time, it does need to be replaced because it becomes less effective. This involves draining and vacuuming out the entire filter basin and replacing the old sand with new sand. When we then refill the filter, disinfect it with chlorine, and then send samples off to testing to ensure that all standards are met before the filter is brought back online into service. So this is just some preventative maintenance, some stuff that people don't get to see every day, but also critical to the efficient operations of our facility. All right, classes for small businesses. Our economic development team recently began hosting classes offered through the Small Business Development Center and Small Business Administration for small business owners on things that they can do to strengthen their business. Classes are offered free of charge and cover topics like market research, cash flow management, and the importance of business plans, as well as many other topics. Our next workshop is scheduled for August 26th from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m. at the East Regional Library. The topic will be Build Your Own Brand, Social Media, and Online Presence for Small Businesses. Okay, we have Check the Chip Day coming back this year. It's going to be on Friday, August 14th from 12 o'clock to 3 p.m. at the shelter. The shelter is located at 921 Deputy Jeff Watson Drive in Luling. The St. Charles Parish residents can have their cats and dogs microchipped at no cost, or have an existing microchip scan to verify and update registration information. Residents who bring in an old backpack can also build a pet emergency kit with supplies provided for the shelter while supplies last. Pets must be on a leash or in a carrier, and proof of St. Charles Parish residency is required. You can bring an ID, a water bill, or an electric bill, some sort of bill that shows that you live within the borders of St. Charles Parish. While registration isn't required, we strongly encourage you to register to help expedite the check-in process on the day of the event. The registration link and more can be found on the press release and our homepage. Work on our sand volleyball courts adjacent to the community center is moving along. We're currently about 85% complete with concrete retaining walls, sidewalk connections, and modifications to electrical conduit stub-outs. In the upcoming weeks, we will be installing subsurface drainage, sand for the court, light pole bases, viewing stand viewing stand concrete, and pouring portions of the sidewalk, and that's going to be weather permitting. This summer, the Community Services Department served 7,107 meals that were fed to children across St. Charles Parish, again, through our Department of Community Services. We appreciate the council's support in this program that we do each year, but we also want to say thanks to the support of the Department of Education, United Way of St. Charles Parish, and our school system for partnering with us to make it happen as well. A huge thank you to the Community Services team who helps make this program possible, the staff there who dedicate their time in ensuring that the kids have access to healthy meals while school is out, which, judging by those numbers, was very well utilized this year. Okay, coming up, we have our household hazardous waste collection. I know this is always a big topic each year, so we want you to mark your calendars for Saturday the 12th, September 12th, at the Edward A. Dufresne Community Center. This event is going to be held in conjunction with St. John the Baptist Parish, and residents from both parishes will be able to dispose of household chemicals at either site listed on the flyer there. We're going to be putting that flyer out and getting that around to everybody as good as we can. Accepted items include household chemicals and pesticides, oil-based paints and stains, solvents, used oil electronics like TVs and computers and other devices. If you need more information, we want you to visit stcharlesparish.gov/HHW2026. That's www.stcharlesparish.gov/HHW2026. Chairman, that concludes my report.
Mr. Fisher.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Matt, thank you for the prompt work on Road, minimizing that. We've got a lot going on with pipeline repair and that. So great, thank you very much for that. I have one question about the household hazardous material collection. Will we be accepting tires this year?
Let me get that information for you. I don't have that listed here, but let me double check. They normally do accept tires, but we will get that information to the parish council. And it might be on that flyer there. Is it on there? Let's see. Okay. We'll find out if that can be added or not.
Bob tires.
Yeah, tires on at St. Charles Parish. Yeah, it's listed there. And Chairman, I have one more item. I know there's been some complaints about grass cutting in the parish. I want to let the parish council know and the public know the parish Parks and Recreation. Parish Public Works Department is slightly behind right now on grass cutting. We are down not only people, but we're down tractors. They did get those tractors back up and running today, and they have tested for those new employees. So we do have new employees starting as well, and we're going to make sure that our employees work to get caught up as fast as we can.
Thank you, Mr. Jewell. Okay, at this time, I'd like to invite Mr. Jeff Dewey, Public Affairs Specialist with the U.S. Small Business Administration, up to provide a report regarding assistance available to St. Charles Parish residents recovering from Tropical Storm Arthur.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's a very nice invitation. I'll try to be as brief as possible, although I am from reserve, so you know how that might work as well. I should say. Mr. President, I want to thank you for mentioning your great cooperation with the Small Business Administration on putting on those seminars to help businesses achieve more, to grow them in place. Because as we all understand it, it's harder to start a business than it is to, it's harder to hire a new employee than it is to train one. Wait, did I get that backwards? No, it's easier to keep them than to hire a new. I got it backwards. Here's what I want to say. I will try to be brief. Mr. President was just mentioning the preparations for Bertha. Can I recall and rewind your memory back to Tropical Storm Arthur for a second? Because that's why I'm standing here with you today. Because Governor Landry requested of President Trump a presidential declaration of disaster, and President Trump, after FEMA does their surveys, and we find out we and FEMA find out how many structures are damaged and how badly and like that. Donald Trump did in fact decide that 4 parishes in Louisiana were presidential disaster level, and that's where I want to draw a slight distinction. I just want to make sure that everybody understands St. Charles is not one of the 4 primary presidential disaster declarations for Tropical Storm Arthur. However, St. Charles Parish is contiguous to two of the primaries, and one is Lafourche, and another is St. Tammany. Aren't we meeting? Don't we meet them in the middle of Lake Pontchartrain?
Yeah, technically.
Yeah, so you're contiguous. Very, very technically, right? I mean, it might be like bigger than a boat.
In a boat, huh?
I don't know. Anyway, what this parish is eligible for is economic downturn assistance, economic injury. And you may judge that as a little bit less than getting like property and homeowners and renters assistance directly. But you could look at it on the other side of the coin and say, we're glad we don't need to have people injured and roofs off of houses in St. Charles Parish. Anyway, to actually wrap up, I'll just mention that the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program, run by the Small Business Administration, I'm actually in the section from disaster. What he was talking about was the regular section which helps businesses. That's available in St. Charles. And there's a sheet in your information packet that Ms. Impostato helped me distribute there. And I'll define it this way, just so I can get through it as quickly as possible for your attention. Working capital loans to help small businesses, small agriculture cooperatives, small businesses engaged in aquaculture, and most private nonprofit organizations of all sizes to meet their ordinary and necessary financial obligations. Okay, I mentioned nonprofits because that's specifically important in every community. Nonprofits are churches. Nonprofits may also be volunteer fire departments. And I don't know exactly how y'all have arranged it in St. Charles, but normally when you have a government agency, FEMA takes care of that public assistance and puts you right. But in this case, other nonprofits, charities, Meals on Wheels, that kind of thing, they may be experiencing something because of economic downturn. And this helps keep the light on and the meals running on wheels. I want to wrap up because I've been rambling a little bit, but I want to mention more important than anything is y'all are the trusted voices in this community. If you have somebody that's telling you, I don't know if it's at a snowball stand or the Walmart or what, my business just seems like it's down, and it's fairly directly related to the fact that somebody got injured by that disaster. That's what I'm talking about. It sounds a little subtle maybe, but when you hear your constituents maybe complaining about how they're keeping their business going, remember that this disaster assistance is available. Trump, Landry requested it. We're here to offer it. And I just want to make that public for, I think you're on the internet, and make that public as well for everyone to understand that is available, and it doesn't come automatically. You do have to apply for it. Like I said, I'm trying to keep it brief. I thank you all very much. If there's anything I can do, or I don't think there's any questions, but I appreciate your time. Oh, unless there is.
Mr.
Yes,
Dewey, I
please.
do have a question.
Please.
I noticed this little flyer, and that kind of piqued my interest when they requested for you to speak, and it's good, and it's timely. There's an expiration date on this, I think, at August 31st.
Actually, sir, that is the August 30th expiration date relates to the 4 primary counties, being St. Landry, Avoyelles, Terrebonne, Lafourche, St. Tammany, and Pointe-Coupee. There are now 6. And you're right, this is timely because just 3 days ago, they amended this presidential declaration to include Pointe-Coupee and Lafourche. Now, I know that y'all are fairly close.
So what's the deadline for St. Charles?
The deadline is that second deadline on your sheet there, sir. It's significantly longer. It's August. Is it March? Thank you.
Yeah, March 30th, 2027? Economic injury?
There's quite a bit of time. Okay. And I hope that there's time that people can come to you and say, Councilman, my business is down. What do I do? And I hope you'll just plain remember. It's as simple as that. That's why I wanted to talk to y'all.
We've got your phone number here.
You do.
That's good. It's also worth noting that for damage, it includes automobiles. So say here in St. Charles Parish, and there were quite a few people on the 18th of June who lost their cars, and some in my neighborhood. Mm-hmm. And so they probably, through their automobile insurance, may or may not be covered. So this give them a loan for a new vehicle, correct?
This is actually this is for businesses.
So this is not for personal.
I regret to say that something like automobile hail damage or a roof.
How about flooding?
For flooding, it's all the same. If you have losses, if you're a homeowner, if you have losses, if you're a renter, in the primary parishes like Lafourche, I'm going to use a bad word here. You're lucky to get that possibility of recovery funding. That's a weird word. You're not lucky at all. But in this parish, it is for the business operators.
I got you.
And again, I using the word it's limited to, but yeah, that's an accurate word. It's limited to a business operator or a nonprofit operator, even be it a volunteer fire department like that. There is a limitation to that to this aid, and that's why I'm kind of speaking in low, unexcited tones, maybe. But you may come across some business owners in St. Charles Parish who may like this, who may want this.
Well, appreciate your clarifications and
appreciate
thanks
y'all
for coming to speak to us.
Pass the word. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right. Ordinance is introduced. Make sure. Introduced for publication, public hearing, and adoption at the public meeting Monday, August 10th, 2026, 6 p.m., Council Chambers, Courthouse, Hanville. Item number 2026-0235. Ordinances, resolutions introduced for publication, public hearing on Monday, August 10th, 2026, 6 p.m., Council Chambers, Courthouse, Hanville. Items 2026-0247, -0251, -0252, -0253. And then there are some additional supplemental that are 2026-0220, 0242, and 0229, of which copies have been made and placed in the council people's folders. All right, planning and zoning petitions. 2026-0224, an ordinance to amend the St. Charles Parish zoning ordinance of 1981 to change the zoning classification from R1A to R1AM on property designated as lots 1 and 2, Block A, Good Hope Plantation, as requested by Stein Management LLC. Mr. Albert, could you explain, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a request to rezone a parcel from single-family residential to include mobile and manufactured homes. The department found it does not meet any of the 3 review criteria and recommended denial. The Planning Commission also recommended denial. Thank you.
Okay, file number 2026-0224 is now open for public hearing. If there's anyone who'd like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes to speak.
Good afternoon, everyone. I came to the prior meeting.
Name and address, please.
My name is Mark Brady. Mark Brady, 318 Marino Drive, Norco, Louisiana. I came to the prior meeting with the zoning commission, and I'm basically going to go through the same thing I had said before. On the issue of rezoning these 2 lots, I would like to let it be known I'm adamantly against it. Against rezoning to a R1AM. It was decided years ago that R1AM would not be allowed in the area. I feel like the past council must have known what they were doing. If allowed to do so, I feel it would be like spot zoning and set a precedence for the future. So, I don't think it's a good idea. In my opinion, to rezone would devalue property. It may ensure more transit. It may advancement of rental property, less home ownership. I don't feel like our family-oriented, close-knit residential neighborhood would benefit from rezoning this property. If it's not broken, let's not fix it. Secondly, I'd like to say something. I don't think I'm out of line here when I say this, but I spoke to the Norco Civic Association president, Mr. Stephen Weber, today, and he told me that it was okay to remind people, like he had spoke at the prior meeting with the zoning commission, that all the board members for the Civic Association voted against it. So with that being said, y'all have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brady.
No questions? Okay.
No, sir. Thank you. If there's anyone else who would like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes to speak.
My name's Matthew Perrette. I live at 321 Clayton Drive, a couple houses away from it. I got a house between my lot and that, and we made this thing years ago that not to have trailers and to zone it the way we did for a reason. And if we do approve it, it'd be depreciating our property. And I thank y'all for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Perrette. Public hearing is still open. If there's anyone who'd like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes to speak. Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Any council discussion? Mr. Fisher.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I received well over 30 emails, phone calls, and comments reflecting pretty much the same what the Planning Commission has heard, and that it's just not advantageous to do this. It is a spot zone. I will tell you, this council and the previous council has passed a lot of the unconforming lots in Norco. We've built a lot of single-family homes for homeowners with some of the lots. The Good Hope subdivision was laid out in the early 30s, so the lots are a little bit smaller. So it can be built. We have some beautiful homes that were built on these old lots, and these 2 lots would be a lovely home site for a single-family home. So changing it to R1M is a spot zoning, and I'm against it, and I think most of my constituents are against it. So I would ask for your support. The Planning and Zoning Commission has denied it, and the department in their investigation says no, because they agree with the people that it is a site for R1A homes. So I appreciate your support in denying this.
Thank you, Mr. Fisher. Any other council discussion? All right, seeing none, please cast your vote for 2026-0224. Motion fails. Nays through all of the unanimous nays. Next item, 2026-0225, an ordinance to amend the St. Charles Parish zoning ordinance of 1981 to change the zoning classification from C2 to R1A on property designated as the lower 85 feet of Lot 6, Village of Hanville, as requested by Billy Butler of More New Homes, LLC. Mr. Albert, can you please explain?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a request to rezone a parcel from neighborhood commercial to single-family residential. The department found that it does meet all 3 of the review criteria and recommends approval. The Planning Commission also recommended approval on this item. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Albert. File number 2026-0225 is now open for public hearing. If there's anyone here who'd like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes to speak.
Milton Alamo Hornville. And I was all prepared to say, why would this not be a residential lot? It has been for the last 100 years. But actually, if you look at your map, I'm off by 50 years. It's been 150 years that it's been residential. So it should be. Some bureaucrat in an office somewhere decided years back what needed to be commercial and what didn't. there's a good chance they didn't even know how Hornville operated. So this should return. But you know why it should return? Because it is the boyhood of one of America's, in St. Charles Parish's, military heroes. Mr. Larry Tragg grew up there, and he gave his life fighting for our country in Vietnam. For what he did, and a lot of other people, gives me the opportunity to come over here and have these lively discussions with y'all. So we should never forget, and the 250-year anniversary of our country, we ought to drive it home even more. I know I forget sometimes, and that's shameful, but people have sacrificed a lot, their lives, their limbs, to allow us to have this government and allow us to disagree. That's part of the process. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Alderman. Public hearing is still open. If there's anyone who'd like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes to speak. Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Any council discussions? Ms. Wilson.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. This particular lot is in my district off of River Road in Hornville, and I do ask for your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wilson. No more council discussions? Please cast your vote for 2026-0225. That one passes unanimously. Next, 2026-0226, an ordinance to amend the St. Charles Parish zoning ordinance of 1981 to change the zoning classification from R1A to OL on property designated as lots 1, 2, and 3, Freelou Donode Estate, as requested by Robert Gilbert. Again, Mr. Albert, could you please enlighten us?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a request to rezone 3 parcels from single-family residential and open land to entirely open land. The request represents a significant downzoning of the parcels. The department found that it meets 2 of the 3 review criteria and recommends approval. The Planning Commission also recommended approval. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Albert. File number 2026-0226 is now open for public hearing. If there's anyone who'd like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes to speak.
Good evening. I'm Julie Hebert, Civil and Sports Design Engineering. I'm here representing the Gilbert family. I will say that I have represented now 3 generations of the Gilbert family in our community. They have done some tremendous things in the community. One is with their own blood, sweat, and tears. They have revitalized the Willowdale Country Club so that it didn't go defunct. They run numerous very successful businesses in our parish. And the 3rd generation, who is Robbie and his lovely wife Shelby, are behind me. They would like to build a home back behind the Lagatuda subdivision off of Diane Drive. And it is approximately 59 acres. It's currently zoned R1A, completely within the rights to develop a subdivision back there. And they want to take it out of R1A, put it into open land, because Robbie has an engineering degree. His wife is finishing up veterinary school. They are currently living in between Baton Rouge and Luling. And so what they would like to do is build their forever home here, have a place where they can have a small stable with maybe 3 or 4 horses for their family. She is specializing in large veterinarian specialty, and she is also a horse person. So they just want to have privacy, put the stables to the south, and this would very much reduce the impact on the community. It is win-win. Instead of 130 to 150 homes back there, you're looking at 2. It all drains to the south into the major canal that goes to the pump station. And then also, there's absolutely no taxation on the sewer, the water, the drainage. All of that has been looked at by the department. So, and the school, there's also no taxation on the school with an additional 130 homes back there in a very popular school district. So I would love to have your support. If you have any questions, by all means, call me back up, and the owners are here.
Thank you, Ms. Hebert. This time we have public excuse me, public hearing open for 2026-0226. If there's anyone who'd like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes to speak.
Good afternoon. I'm Robert Gilbert. I live at 41085 Talonwood Drive in Gonzales.
And I'm Shelby Gilbert, also at the 41085 Talonwood Drive in Gonzales.
I prepare a little something. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Robbie. This is my wife, Shelby. I grew up in St. Charles Parish, and she in Reserve. We currently live in Gonzales, where we split the distance between her drive to LSU Vet School and mine to Luling for work. In the near future, we'll begin setting up our forever home in the acreage behind Diane Drive. The beauty of the land, the peace it provides, and the wildlife it houses are things that we have fallen in love with and plan to preserve. We have been searching for years to find a piece of property where we can be completely surrounded by woods, but also close enough to a neighborhood for our future children to play with neighboring friends. This property is perfect for that. Thank you for your time. Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Gilbert.
Thank you.
If there's anyone else who would like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name, your address, and you have 3 minutes to speak.
All right, good evening. Thomas Forshare, I live at 612 Diane Drive, back in Lagatuda. First of all, we have no objection to the two houses that the Gilberts want to build back in Lagatuda. Before the vote for the rezoning of this property of the open land, at the previous planning zoning meeting, the planning zoning board was given false information on the road stub outs to the now Gilbert property. Ms. Julie Hebert was there to represent the Gilbert family, stating there were stub outs on both Terry and Diane. The existing stub out is on Terry Drive with a cul-de-sac on Diane Drive. According to the Gilbert family map, they want to use Diane Drive for the exit and entrance. Ms. Julie Hebert stated the families want to build their homes for peace, quiet in the area. We, the residents at the end of Diane Drive, built our homes for the same reason 30 and 40 years ago. And we chose this area because of the cul-de-sac. I was one of the second ones to buy in the whole subdivision. And when I looked at all this land, I said a cul-de-sac would be a good place for peace and quiet. Same thing they're asking for. And again, no objection to the two homes. One block over is Terry Drive, which all the previous landowners have been using as the entrance and exit to the now Gilbert property. There's a gate. Planning and zoning years back, and the council approved this is the egress to the now Gilbert property. There's a gate. There's several acres of land that is clear. It's ready to set up the stage equipment, construction material. You can start tomorrow. And that road is set up. When the Lagatudas developed that area, they took time and planned a subdivision to lay out all the property for the home sites. So on Terry Drive, you have one with a side yard, and you have one house. Garbage trucks, school buses come in there, make their little pickup, and they leave. Dealing with Diane Drive, we're down the street, there's a cul-de-sac. And on the end of there, you got the school buses, garbage trucks, UPS, and everybody else that does business in the area. So by putting this road on the end of Diane Drive, that's going to hamper that area. And choosing that, people that chose Terry Drive, when you got a stub out, you know there's always the time where something can develop back there. It's a given. So the problem we got with it, again, it's not the two homes. Welcome y'all as neighbors, believe it. But use what has been used by the parish, the Hoopers that owned it years back, the Freeloos and the Dinos also. I just don't see a problem. It's 200 foot over. I know it doesn't quite fit the agenda for the roadways going inside, and that's a given. And I mean, got engineers involved, figure it out. But, we chose the same thing they're looking for.
Excuse me, Mr. Fauché, you out of time? Do you need some additional time?
Give me one more minute, I'll be good.
Hold on 1 second. Let's vote on whether or not we can extend the time frame, please. Mr. Carmadels first, and then the seconder with Ms. O'Daniels. Please cast your vote. Okay, it's passed unanimously. Please proceed.
Yeah. So again, we're not, against them. That's the American dream: buy a property, build your house. But at the same time, 30, 40 years ago, when we picked that, we did the same thing. And, we like it to continue, for the peace and quiet. And all I'm saying is the other side has been used by all previous landowners. I don't see what the issue is using the same property. The gate is there, and there's open land, and the subdivision was developed and approved by planning zone and the council years ago. I appreciate y'all time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fauché. File number 2026-0226 is still open for public hearing. If anyone here would like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes to speak. Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Council discussion, Mr. Carmadell.
Yes, first I'd like to thank Mr. Fauché for acknowledging his new neighbors. I just want to remind everybody that this is about the zoning. This will come back for a plot plan or development later on. This is strictly for the zoning of the property. I didn't see anything in reading back. Mr. Fauché referenced Ms. Hebert. I'd like to call her back up to see if she can explain part of that conversation, because I got lost somewhere there.
Yes.
Ms. Hebert, please.
Thank you very much. Actually, what I said, I believe, is correct. Just because there isn't a stub out, it is a cul-de-sac, and you cannot block off someone's property for access. There are 3 pieces of property, and the largest piece of property is only accessed from the end of Diane Drive. The 2 smaller pieces of property, they can be accessed from Terry. But what it is essentially doing is, don't bother this neighbor, bother that one. But we're here for zoning. But a neighbor who lives on a cul-de-sac, they could put a house right at the end of that cul-de-sac and put their driveway. This is not a roadway going through, it's a private driveway. That's all it is. So I find that that's a little disingenuous, because they could put a house right there, buy that property and put it right there. It's just a driveway off of the end of Diane Drive. And it is an access point because you cannot block off someone's property.
Thank you, Ms. Hebert.
You bet. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Carmadell.
So looking back, I went through the planning commission's notes on this, and one of the neighbors asked, has anybody been to the site? I've been to the site. Some folks complained about wetlands. Amazingly, the last 5 neighbors on the street have been cutting the grass in the wetlands and using it for personal use. One neighbor actually has a shed off of his property line in the Gilbert's new property. So, I'm going to support this. This young family's tried this several times in this parish, and it's time we stop, pushing these people around. We just lost a very good business owner from St. Charles Parish who packed his bags and moved away, and I'm not going to sit here and watch ridiculous rules or neighbors push out our business owners. So I'm in full support of this.
Thank you, Mr.
I just want
Carmadell.
to comment on the wetlands. The wetlands, most of the property is uplands, not wetlands, and the wetlands that were on the property, and I want to say were, the biological surveys have deemed it as most probable non-jurisdictional wetlands, and they are getting that rezoned right now. So it's probably going to be 100% non-wet or non-jurisdictional wet, which makes it ripe for development.
Thank you, Ms. Hebert. Thank you, Mr. Carmadell. Ms. O'Daniels.
I just wanted to clarify with Michael and legal that what we're voting on tonight is strictly a rezone. We're not talking about plot plans or anything like that here. We're just talking about rezoning the property to open land, correct?
That's completely correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. O'Daniels. Any other council discussion? Seeing none, cast your vote. 2026-0226. And that one passes unanimously. Next, ordinances scheduled for public hearing introduced at previous meeting. 2026-0214, an ordinance to amend the 2026 Consolidated Operating and Capital Budget. Amendment number 1, to add revenues and transfers totaling $17,205,154, an addition of an accumulated fund balance of $65,875,729, and expenditures including transfers totaling $80,338,499 for all of governmental funds for the purpose of adjusting beginning 2026 fund balances across all funds to match ending 2025 final budget balances, and to reapply various construction, architectural engineering, and other fees unexpended in 2025 for parish projects that were not completed during 2025 and apply them to 2026. Mr. Dewsome, can you please explain?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is, as stated, our first budget amendment of the year, which is our true-up or rollover amendment, as we like to call it. Essentially what we're doing is just readjusting everything that wasn't spent in 2025 for those projects and rolling them over into 2026 so that those projects can continue into this year. If you have any specific questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Thank you, Mr. Dewsome. File number 2026-0214 is now open for public hearing. If there's anyone here who'd like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name, your address, and for the record, and you have 3 minutes to speak.
Milton Alamo, Hornville. And when I start getting my numbers wrong, Mr. Dewsome better straighten me out. Because I did some quick calculations. You know, St. Charles Parish is a very, very wealthy parish. We're probably 3 or 4 per capita in the state, which is good. You never got enough funding, do we? But if you look at just 10 years ago, it looks like, and Grant can correct me, it looks like within the last 10 years we had a 60% increase in this consolidated budget. 60%. That's a lot of money. And what we fail to realize is we don't have appreciably, in fact, we may have less people today, residents in this parish, than we had 10 years ago. So that's a hell of a, that's a heck of a tax burden on the people of St. Charles Parish. I know some politicians like to say, oh, the people don't pay, the industry pays all the taxes. And I keep telling them they're wrong. They tell me I'm wrong, I tell them they're wrong. And the reason I say this is, yes, industry writes the check. We get the money from them. But they have the opportunity, and they do it, to pass on that cost of taxes in their business. And if they can't, they're going to go out of business. So the bottom line is every working man and woman who pays taxes in this parish pays all of this. When the price of gas goes up, the refineries don't eat that cost. They pass that on to you. When their taxes go up, they don't eat the cost increase. They pass that on to me and you and everybody else. So while it's great we got all this money, keep in mind, whether we stop, at what point do we bankrupt even more people in our parish? And bankrupt is probably a little strong word. But y'all have heard me say this before. You know, there's such a thing as they call the Alice Report. And I sure wish I could remember what that stood for, but to be honest with you, I can't. But the Alice Report says 30% of the people in this parish are members of the working poor. They work, and they can barely make ends meet. 10% of the people in this parish are what they call below the poverty level. So while the parish is wealthy, all of our people are not. We have to start figuring out a way to control the costs. And you're going to say, well, you're the guy always hollering for more money for drainage. But it's the big picture you have to look at. So at some point, unless we grow and double the size of our parish, we can't keep putting this huge tax burden on the few people we have. And I say few because we hadn't grown. In fact, I think we may have 2,000 less residents today than we had 10 years ago.
Mr. Alamo, you out of time? Do you need anything further? Or no?
I'm out of breath. Thank you.
That fits. Thank you very much, Mr. Alamo. Public hearing is still open for 2026-214. My eyes are getting blurry. If there's anyone who'd like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes to speak. Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Any council discussion? Mr. Jewell.
Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Dewsome, am I correct in stating that the millage rate today is about 100.8, 100.9 mils, give or take what side of the river you're on. That represents about, what, a 34-year low, 1992, thereabouts. So the millage rate is at the 1992 levels. And just a question, I just want to make sure that the budget would reflect, right, the historic amount of grant funding that we've secured, and that would also cause the budget to inflate and look larger? Yeah. Okay, just checking, thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Jewell. Every year we see this transfer of funds from one year to the other. That doesn't mean that we're imposing new taxes of any sort. It's there, it's money to be transferred and clear out projects that didn't finish this year. As far as the taxes going up and all these businesses that contribute to the tax base, you know, a lot of those are international businesses, and those products go all over the world. And so it's not like we're hurting our local people any more than we're hurting anybody else. That's just a point in, you know, that I think I understand. So this is a technical thing. It has to happen. And obviously I'm all for it. So if there's no other council discussion, please cast your vote. 2026-0214. And that passes unanimously. Okay, next. 2026-0222. An ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of a lease agreement between DJV LLC and St. Charles Parish for the River Parish's Workforce Development Board office space in St. Charles Parish. Administration has requested the following amendments. Amend second whereas point of the ordinance to replace in its entirety with whereas the current lease expires on September 30th, 2025 and reconducted on a month-by-month basis. And it desires that St. Charles Parish enter into a new lease agreement in the same location. Then amend the first page of the lease agreement, section 1, terms, by replacing 1, terms in its entirety to read as, number 1, terms, the term of this lease 1 year commencing August 1st, 2026 and expiring July 31st, 2027. The effective date of this lease will be August 1st, 2026. So, Mr. Oob, can you tell us if this legal language here is a substantial change or not?
No, in our opinion, it would not be a substantial change. It's just transitioning the months. Right now, the parish operates on a month-to-month basis since the prior lease expired. This is just locking down and effectuating the lease for another 1 year at the property. It doesn't change the terms of still being $1,500 per month. It's just actually clarifying that the lease will continue, which will protect the residents of St. Charles Parish and lock them down to a lease without the landlord having the ability to change it in 1 month. So from that standpoint, we don't believe it's substantial. We also believe the changes are beneficial to the residents of St. Charles Parish.
Thank you, Mr. Oob. That being said, I have a motion on the floor by someone, Ms. Cisso Daniels, seconded by Mr. Brouillet, to amend the file number 2026-0222. And this amendment is to amend the second whereas clause by replacing it in its entirety to read as follows. Whereas the current lease expires on September 30th, 2025 and reconducted on a month-to-month basis, and it desires that St. Charles Parish enter into a new lease agreement in the same location. And to amend the first page of the lease agreement, section 1, terms, by replacing item 1, terms, in its entirety to read as follows. 1. Terms. The term of this lease, 1 year, commencing August 1st, 2026 and expiring July 31st, 2027. The effective date of this lease will be August 1st, 2026. File number 2026-0222 is now open for public hearing. If there's anyone who'd like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes to speak. Seeing none, any council discussion? Mr. Carmodell.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. A little confusing because the current lease expires September 30th. Why are we commencing a new lease in August? That would cut us 2 months short of our existing contract.
The current lease,
2025.
if you may, the current lease actually expired September of '25. We have been operating on a month-to-month. That's why the amendment changes it from, in the whereas section, from September 30th, 2026 to 25. So we've been operating on month-to-month. What we want to do is lock down an effective one-year lease starting August 1st. If you look at page 55 of your agenda, the second whereas, it originally indicated the current lease expires on September 30th, 2026. The motion to amend is to correct it to say September of 2025. So since then, we've been operating on a month-to-month basis.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Carmodell. Any other council discussion? Seeing none, we need to vote on 2026-0222. Please cast your votes. That passes unanimously. Next, resolutions. 2026-0.
Councilman Pile.
Oh, God.
Thank you.
Okay, we need to approve it as amended. So, 2026-0222. There's a motion to approve by Ms. O'Daniels, a seconder by Mr. Carmodell. Please cast your vote.
Council needs to approve it as amended.
As amended, correct.
Same process.
Sorry. Okay, if there's anyone, this 2026-0222 as amended is now open for public hearing. If there's anyone that'd like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes to speak. Seeing none, public hearing is now closed. Any council discussion? Nope. Please cast your vote for 2026-0222 as amended. And that now passes unanimously. Okay, resolutions 2026-0244. A resolution approving and authorizing the parish president to submit an application requesting grant funds from the Delta Regional Authority States Economic Development Assistance Program for Phase 2, Canadian Pacific, Kansas City Railroad Culvert Crossing of Fairfield and Oakland Conveyance Improvements Project in the amount of $500,000. Ms. Chasson.
Yes, good evening. So as you know, we've been working on a series of drainage improvements in the St. Rose area, and some of that funding is going to be coming from the Louisiana Watershed Initiative, but we're also requesting funding from the Delta Regional Authority, and that's going to be specifically applied towards the construction costs associated with the 3 culverts going under the CPKC railroad line. And so for the application, we need a board resolution in support of our submittal. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Chasson. File number 2026-0244 is now open for public comment. If there's anyone who'd like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes to speak.
Milton Alamo Horndale. And when we talk about getting drainage done, I get all excited because it's very much needed throughout this parish. But I do have a question. Who is Delta Regional Authority that may want to be nice enough to give us a whole pile of money? We've heard of the other group, the Watershed, the Louisiana Watershed Initiative. But who are these people? Are they local, state, federal? Who are they? And it's a grant, which is great. But grant money is not free. Grant money comes from somebody's taxes. And I don't know anybody in this parish that gets excited when their millages go down and their property taxes go up. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Solomon. Ms. Chasson, can you tell us who that Delta Regional Authority States Economic Development Assistance Program is?
So the Delta Regional Authority was created on the federal level, so this would be a federal grant, and it's for communities that are within the Mississippi River Delta region. So we're kind of at an advantage because we're right split in half with the Mississippi River, and this is neighboring right to the river for this project. But so they have $16 million available this year for the state's Economic Development Assistance Program.
Have we availed ourselves of opportunities through this Delta program in the past?
Yes. So the in the past we were able to secure funding from the DRA for the Parity Canal Gate.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay. File number 2026-0244 is still open to public comment. Is anyone that'd like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. State your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes to speak. Seeing none, public comment is closed. Any council discussion? Ms. O'Daniels.
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Carla, for continuing to root around and get additional funds for this very important project. I think everybody by now has heard about 3 or 4 of these presentations having to do with Fairfield, Oakland, just in this election cycle alone, trying to get the funds together to help these individuals who have had systemic flooding for 20 plus years in their location, and we appreciate it. Meanwhile, to Mr. Milton's comment about taxes, we all are glad to see that our housing has gone up, so that's the reflection of why we see some of our taxes going up, because our houses are worth more. So, but meanwhile, back to this important project, I ask for everybody's support. I'm sure there won't be any issue with getting support to continue towards getting this project shovel ready. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. O'Daniels. If there are no other council discussion, no additional council discussion, please cast your vote for 2026-0244. And that passes unanimously. All right, appointments. 2026-0204. A resolution appointing a member to the St. Charles Parish Communications District representing the St. Charles Parish Council. Council chairman will accept nominations to the St. Charles Parish Communications District to fill the vacancy created by the expiration of the term of Mr. Michael D. Heath, 4-year term to begin August 19th, 2026 and expire August 19th, 2030. Do we have any nominations on that? Mr. Fisher. Mr. Fisher.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to nominate Chief Michael Heath for another 4-year term.
Okay. Mr. Fisher has made a nomination for Mr. Michael D. Heath for another 4-year term. A motion and a second is needed. We have Mr. Fisher's moved and Ms. Fonseca has seconded. Please cast your vote for 2026-0204 nomination. And that passes unanimously. 2026-0205, resolution appointing a member of the St. Charles Parish Communications District representing emergency medical services as requested by the Hospital Service District, Number 1, Parish of St. Charles, Board of Commissioners. Council chairman will accept nominations provided by the Hospital Service District Number 1, Parish of St. Charles, Board of Commissioners, representing emergency medical services to the St. Charles Parish Communications District to fill the vacancy caused by the expiration of the term of Mr. Kevin Gauthier, 4-year term to begin August 19th, 2026 and expire August 19th, 2030. The nomination provided by the Hospital Service District Number 1, Parish of St. Charles, Board of Commissioners representing emergency medical services to the St. Charles Parish Communications District is Mr. Kevin Gauthier. I need a motion, a second to close the, there we got it. Moved by Ms. DeBrouillet and seconded by Ms. Skiba for closing the nominations. Please cast your vote. And that passes unanimously. Okay, 2026-0213, resolution appointing a member to the St. Charles Parish Communications District representing the St. Charles Parish President's Office. Council Chairman will accept nominations provided by the Parish President to the St. Charles Parish Communications District to fill the vacancy caused by the expiration of the term of Mr. Armand Burke, maybe Bork, I'm not sure. 4-year term to begin August 19th, 2026 and expire August 19th, 2030. The nomination provided by the Parish President representing the St. Charles Parish President's Office is Mr. Armand Bork. Need a motion and a second to close the nominations. We have a move by Ms. DeBruyer and seconded by Ms. Skiba. Please cast your vote. And that passes unanimously. Next, we have 2026-0207, a resolution appointing a member to the St. Charles Parish Library Board of Control as the District 6 representative. Council Chairman will accept nomination to the St. Charles Parish Library Board of Control from the District 6 council member to fill the vacancy caused by the resignation of the term of Miss Robin Robichaud, unexpired term to begin immediately and expire April 1st, 2027. Mr. Fisher.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to defer this to our next meeting.
Okay. There's a motion to defer this to the next meeting. Do I have a motion? Ms. O'Daniels and a seconder, Mr. Carmadell. Please cast your vote. Okay. Next is 2026-0245, accept the resignation of Mr. Johnny Bourgeois, St. Charles Parish Communications District representing the St. Charles Parish Firemen's Association. Please cast your vote to accept the resignation of Mr. Johnny Bourgeois on the St. Charles Parish Communications District representing St. Charles Parish Firemen's Association. And that passes unanimously. Item number 2026-0246. This is just an announcement. A resolution appointing a member to the St. Charles Parish Communications District representing the St. Charles Parish Firemen's Association. On Monday, August 10th, 2026, Council Chairman will accept a nomination from the St. Charles Parish Firemen's Association to fill the vacancy caused by the resignation of the term of Mr. Johnny Bourgeois, unexpired term to begin immediately and expire August 19th, 2029. Meetings, announcements, notices, etc. Meetings, Housing Authority, Tuesday, July 28th, 6 p.m., Council Chambers. Hospital Service District Number 1, Wednesday, July 29th, 2 p.m., Council Chambers. Lafourche Basin Levee District, Wednesday, August 5th, 6 p.m., Lafourche Basin Levee District Office, 21380 Highway 20, Vacherie. Planning and Zoning Commission, Thursday, August 6th, 6 p.m., Council Chambers. Communications District 911, Monday, August 10th, 5 p.m., 911 Center. That's at 222 Joe Louis Lane, Huntonville. Legislative Committee, Monday, August 10th, 5 p.m., Council Chambers. This will be a discussion regarding the St. Charles Parish Code of Ordinances relative to the regulations of motorized bicycles, motor-driven cycles, electric-assisted bicycles, electric scooters, and electric dirt bikes. St. Charles Parish Council, Monday, August 10th, 6 p.m., Council Chambers. Announcements. Notice is hereby given that a public meeting for the St. Charles Parish Council will be held in the Council Chambers on the second floor of the St. Charles Parish Courthouse, 15045 River Road, Huntonville, on August 10th, 2026 at 6 p.m. to adopt millage rates. Adjournment. A motion is and a second is needed to adjourn. We have a motion by Mr. Brouillet and seconded by Ms. Skiba. Please cast your vote. And that passes unanimously. Have a great evening. We're officially adjourned.